They did it. WWE actually did it. After months of keeping Jacob Fatu on the shelf, after weeks of us wondering if they'd completely forgotten about the most dangerous man in the bloodline, they brought him back in the most violent way possible. And you know what? Drew McIntyre didn't just get beaten tonight. He got destroyed. He got sent a message. He got reminded that when you mess with the bloodline, you don't just face Roman Reigns, you face a Samoan wrecking ball who doesn't care about your legacy, your accomplishments, or how tough you think you are. But here's what's got me furious right now. Why did it take this long? Why did WWE wait until Drew was finally building momentum again to feed him to Fatu like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I need to know if you're as frustrated as I am about the timing of this whole thing. Let me set the scene for you. SmackDown tonight was already electric. The crowd was hot, the energy was insane, and Drew McIntyre was in the ring cutting one of those promos that reminds everyone why he's one of the best talkers in the business. He was going off about Solo Psycho, about how the bloodline is crumbling, about how he's going to dismantle them piece by piece. Classic Drew. Passionate, intense, believable. The man was cooking, and just when you thought he was about to wrap it up and we'd move on to the next segment, the lights flickered. That's when we knew. That's when everyone in that arena knew something bad was about to happen. The bloodline's music hit, but it wasn't Solo Psycho who walked out first. It was Tamar Tonga, then Tonga Loa. The crowd started buzzing because we've seen this before, the bloodline coming out to surround someone, to intimidate, to send a message. But then, after what felt like an eternity of anticipation, Jacob Fatu's music hit, and that arena exploded. People were on their feet. The camera showed fans with their jaws dropped. And Drew's face told the whole story. He knew what was coming. He knew he was in trouble. Now, before I continue, quick question for the comment section. When was the last time you saw someone return and the entire vibe of the show changed instantly? Because that's what happened tonight. Drop your answer below. Jacob Fatu walked down that ramp like a man possessed. No smiles. No acknowledgements to the crowd. Just pure, focused rage. This wasn't a celebration return. This wasn't a happy to be back moment. This was a predator who had been caged for too long, finally released and locked onto his prey. And Drew, to his credit, didn't back down. The Scottish warrior stood his ground, threw down his mic, and got ready for a fight. That's what separates Drew from so many others. The man genuinely doesn't fear anyone. But fear and preparation are two different things, and nothing could have prepared him for what Jacob Fatu was about to unleash. The bell didn't even ring. This wasn't an official match. This was an assault. Fatu slid into the ring and immediately went after Drew with a fury we haven't seen in WWE in a long time. We're talking stiff shots, brutal strikes, the kind of offense that makes you wince watching it. Drew fought back, of course he did, landing some heavy chops and forearms that would put down most men. But Fatu? He absorbed them like they were nothing. He smiled through the pain. He welcomed it. And that's when you realize Drew was in serious trouble. The thing about Jacob Fatu that makes him different from everyone else in WWE right now is the sheer believability of his violence. When he hits you, you feel it through the screen. When he suplexed Drew with that overhead belly-to-belly, the impact echoed through the arena. When he hit that running hip attack in the corner, and I'm talking full speed, no hesitation, you could see Drew's body fold like an accordion. This wasn't wrestling. This was a beating. This was personal. This was Fatu reminding everyone why Roman Reigns wanted him in the bloodline in the first place. Here's another question for you guys. Do you think WWE has finally found the perfect enforcer for the bloodline, or is Jacob Fatu being wasted in this role? Really want to hear your perspectives on this because it's a conversation worth having. But back to the destruction. Drew tried everything. He hit a Glasgow kiss head, but that would normally turn the tide. He went for a future shock DDT. He even managed to create some separation and set up for a Claymore kick, the move that's put down Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and countless others. The crowd was begging for it. Drew was coiling up, measuring Fatu, and you could feel the entire arena holding its breath. This was the moment. This was Drew's chance to stop the onslaught. And then, Fatu caught him midair, caught him, turned it into a Samoan drop that shook the entire ring. The referee was trying to restore order. Security was attempting to intervene. None of it mattered. This was Fatu's show now. What happened next was pure carnage. Tamar Tonga and Tonga Loa slid into the ring, and now it was a 3-on-1 beatdown. They held Drew up, and Fatu just unloaded with strikes, body shots, headshots, each one more vicious than the last. The crowd was chanting holy shit, and they weren't wrong. This was uncomfortable to watch. This was the kind of beating that makes you question if WWE went too far. Drew's face was a mask of pain and frustration. This is a former WWE champion, a multi-time world champion, a man who has main event WrestleMania, being treated like an absolute jobber. And somehow, it worked. It made Fatu look like an unstoppable force while making you desperate to see Drew get his revenge. Solo Psycho eventually walked down to the ring, not to stop it, but to oversee it. He stood there with his arms crossed, nodding in approval as his enforcer dismantled one of SmackDown's top stars. This was a statement. This was the Bloodline saying, "We're still here. We're still dangerous. And we're coming for everyone." The symbolism was perfect. Solo has been trying to establish himself as the tribal chief in Roman's absence, and what better way to solidify your authority than having your most dangerous weapon destroy one of the company's toughest competitors? The finale of this assault was something I'm going to remember for a long time. They dragged Drew to the corner, propped him up, and Fatu climbed to the top rope. The crowd knew what was coming. The moonsault, Jacob Fatu's signature move that should be impossible for a man his size. He flew through the air with the grace of a cruiserweight but the impact of a super heavyweight. Drew had nothing left. The move connected perfectly, and Fatu didn't even go for a pin. He didn't need to. This wasn't about winning a match. This was about sending a message. Now let me ask you something else. Was this the right way to bring Jacob Fatu back, or should WWE have built this up more? Drop your thoughts below because I'm genuinely curious how you all feel about the execution of this return. As Fatu stood over Drew's broken body, Solo raised his hand in victory. The Bloodline stood united in the ring, music blaring, crowd absolutely nuclear with heat. This was old school heel work at its finest. They made you hate them. They made you want to see them get what's coming to them. And most importantly, they made Jacob Fatu feel like the most dangerous man on the entire roster in just one segment. That's masterful booking if you ask me, even if the timing is questionable. But here's where my frustration comes back in. Where has Fatu been? He's been off TV 4 months dealing with who knows what. WWE had this incredible talent just sitting on the sidelines while the Bloodline story desperately needed fresh energy. They could have used him during the Roman and Solo conflict. They could have had him as the wild card that changes everything. Instead, they waited until now, and while the impact was undeniable, you can't help but wonder how much more effective this could have been with proper build-up. Looking forward, this opens up so many possibilities. Drew McIntyre is not the type to let this slide. We're talking about a man who fought his way back to WWE after being released, who clawed his way to the top of the mountain, who has proven time and time again that he's one of the toughest competitors in the business. He's going to want blood. He's going to want revenge. And that sets up what could be an absolutely brutal feud between him and Jacob Fatu. These are two physical specimens who can go to war in the ring and make it look completely believable. Plus, this affects the entire Bloodline dynamic. Is Solo Psycho finally secure as the leader with Fatu backing him? Does this mean Roman Reigns' eventual return will have to address this new power structure? What about the other members of the roster who have been targeting the Bloodline? Do they now have to reconsider their strategies knowing that Fatu is back and more dangerous than ever? Final question for the comments: who do you want to see face Jacob Fatu next? And do you think anyone on the current roster can actually beat him in a straight fight? I'm really interested in hearing who you think can match his intensity. Tonight was a statement. Jacob Fatu is back, he's aligned with Solo Psycho's Bloodline, and he just destroyed one of WWE's toughest competitors like it was nothing. Drew McIntyre has been humiliated, beaten, and left laying in the middle of the ring. The landscape of SmackDown has completely changed, and whether you loved it or hated it, you can't deny that WWE has your attention now. That's what great wrestling does. It makes you feel something, it makes you react, and it makes you desperate to see what happens next. This is just the beginning, and something tells me things are about to get very violent on SmackDown. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on because we're going to be covering every single development in this story. And don't forget to destroy that like button and share this video with everyone who needs to see what they missed tonight. Wrestling Zone 1, signing off.